Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today I'm going to be building my 8th facade on the back wall of the Lego room. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this will be the 8th, about there. So, as I say, today we want to build another facade because we are fast losing access or very convenient access to that back wall of the Lego room. So I'm going to try and fill in some of the spaces as a break from the bigger projects that we've been doing recently. And the space that remains is still quite large. We've got quite a few tall towers there. And at the other end, obviously, we've got the Vestas wind turbine. But it's quite an expanse to fill. So what I do really need is something quite wide, still relatively tall so we can still see it, but not too tall as to get perilously close to the wind turbine itself, because in real life that would obviously turn on its axis and would take out any large building. I think we're going to have to ignore the fact that siting buildings next to large wind turbines and double rail lines and tram lines would be rather noisy because, well, we're going for density here, so absolutely everything's going to be near something noisy, so so be it. Now, the set I've chosen to base this next facade on is the Indoraptor Rampage at Lockwood Estate, set 75930. Now, clearly it's the Lockwood Estate building that I'm most interested in, and that is almost a facade as it starts off, actually, given that it's got a very open back with lots of sort of dinosaur exhibits in and so on. Well, I don't need the dinosaur exhibits. I don't need any of the expensive and valuable minifigures and dinosaurs and so on. And actually, even though it is quite facade-like, it's still far too deep for the space we've got in mind. The space we've got is technically 8 studs deep, but really it's less than that because of the tram line, so it's pretty much 7, and then you don't want it right jammed up against that, so probably 6, maybe even 5. So I'm going to try and work within a 5 stud depth, and that means really we're making what is essentially already a facade even more facade-like by chopping off more of the back. And that creates its own problems in a way, because if we want to make it very thin, then any of the features that are obviously a bit deeper, in this case, like the skylight on the roof, they just have to go because it's not going to work at all. So yeah, so there's a bit of an art in turning a building even thinner and it being structurally sound still. So we're going to have to make some of those adjustments along the way. Then I was wondering what to use this building as. And I thought that it looked very much like a school building, and quite a few people have requested a school. Now, we do have one school under construction, which is using the elementary school sticker from the recent sticker pack, and that's another facade, which is basically the construction site. So it's got scaffolding all over it and all the rest, so it's not an operational school, though obviously it will be in the future. So if that's the elementary school, maybe we need the sort of main school for older children as well. So that's what I figure this building is going to be, because it looks very grand with its tall floors, with its very large windows, and it very much sort of strikes me as a sort of lovely old building that might have been converted into a school with its chimneys and drains and traditional sort of pillars and roof and all the rest of that. Yeah, turned into kind of high-end school. So that's what I'm going to try and do. So the next part was purchasing the parts, and I looked on eBay, where there are some nice vendors who often buy sets and split them up and just sell you the part that you're interested in. And because the original set itself was actually £120 in the UK, which is quite a lot, but it does come with a lot of stuff as well, as I said. But even so, those people who are splitting it want £80 just for the building, and I don't need all of the building as well, so that didn't seem very cost effective to me. So the trick that I used was to actually buy it from Bricklink as parts. Now, that's not a great trick on its own, but there is a bit more technique to it. in the sense that you can quite easily find somebody who's bought this exact set and then parted it out into their brick store, and then basically get them to bring all those parts back together into one place for your order. And the reason, or rather the method by which I do that, is look at the most rare pieces of that set, which I think in this case are probably the dark red roof pieces, these tall ones, these pillars, these lovely 1x1x6 pillars in tan colour, these sort of scroll pieces, 1x1 modified bricks, these modified tile pieces in tan as well, and probably these 4x4 modified plates in dark red as well. So what do I mean? Well, if you find a vendor that's got quite a few of these, and so on for all of these parts, then it's very, very likely that they bought the Indoraptor Rampage set maybe several times because they got a really good deal on it, and they put all those parts into their Lego store. So when you go to that store, once you've identified these people, then they've got all the parts that you'll need, and you can just buy the parts that you need and leave behind all the ones you don't. Therefore, it makes it economical because you're buying everything you need from one vendor, and you're buying everything you need and nothing that you don't need. So there's a good tip there. If you're trying to recreate a proportion of a real life set, try and find somebody who's already bought it, got all their parts in their Bricklink store, and then just buy the ones you need. So as a result, rather than spending £120 on a whole set or £80 on eBay for just a building, I spent about £30 to £40 buying just the elements of the building that I needed. So, good start. Right, so my build is going to be very similar to the official build, but as I say, a lot slimmer. And the first stage of that is just to make a kind of base, so it's all held together from beneath as well as throughout, just so when I lift it into position, it will actually stay as one cohesive part, because it's quite a stretch, and I don't want it sort of breaking midway all over my train line. So I'm going to make a nice firm base that has got black plates, and I'm also, as my very first layer, creating just a complete row of plain bricks in tan, and that's just to lift it up a little bit, because although it's quite a tall building, we've got some really tall buildings in front of it, and what I don't want is for the entire thing to be completely hidden from view. I mean, to a large extent it will be hidden from view anyway, but then my construction site and things like that are also hidden to a degree, but then when you kind of look round a corner or look from a different angle than you usually do, you'd see something different and something new. So I'm very happy with that. I think it's very important to have a city where you're kind of discovering new stuff every time you look at it. So this bit is not part of the original set, but just lifts it up and supports it. And then the next stage is just to give it a nice little bit of trim with tile pieces, and I'm going to leave one space in each of the corners for that lovely drain pipe that's part of the original, because I definitely want to keep all the interesting features like the tall windows and the drain pipes and so on. So I'm going to basically build along that exposed layer of studs there. So my building is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 deep, and as I said before, that's probably the right depth for where I'm going to place it. So if we start putting in one of the sides, I'm going to do 7 high of brick, 7 high being the 6 tall column with one of the scroll pieces on the top, then the 7 high sort of window unit, if you will, then reverse that. So we've got that sort of a setup, and then I can put a nice long brick along the top to give it some strength. It's got a bit of a mark on. I'll turn that around. There we go. And a 1x1 on the end, just so it goes around the corner. Very good. And then we just need that arch that makes it look extra special. Now, the original didn't have arches over all the windows, and it even had a door in the middle at the bottom. We're not going to have a door because you wouldn't want a door going straight onto the railway line. So there are a few changes that we're going to do. So I'm going to add more arches. I'm also going to get rid of those sort of panel pieces that had the stickers on with the brickwork, because I don't need those. Great, so I can just actually get that the wrong way. Secure it all with that plate there. Very good. Then we need a drain pipe. The next bit of brick. And then the same pattern again. With that, the other pillar, and then a one wide pillar. We can put our lovely arch on again. And as I said, this is where the door would have gone. And now I'm just continuing the existing pattern along. And I don't want to put too much effort and detail into these facades, because at the end of the day they are going to be very largely hidden. And even the people that are put in the windows to show that there is some life, you know, arguably they're not going to be very visible. So I definitely don't want to overdo it. So we'll secure all that with a nice long 16 long brick, another 3 long, and another corner brick. So you can see it's starting to take shape. It's very repetitive, but this is the bottom level that's only going to be really visible from the train line, from the train carriages whizzing by. So no real problem there, but a nice tan set of plates to bind it all together. And then here's the wing I did earlier with that done in the same way. So a very plain ground floor, but as I say, you're not going to see it, so all good. Let's move on to the next floor. So to start the next floor is just using those tiles again, just to kind of give it a nice ledge. What I do like about this build is how it kind of looks like a English stately home, which you can imagine being part of Brick Nottingham from a long time ago, a bit of its history, but it's been saved and turned into a school, so I think that's a nice touch. So it's got lots of old architectural features, and one of the ones that I'm definitely recreating from the original set is this lovely sort of oval window right in the centre. Hasn't got glass in it, but I still think it was worth keeping because, well, it just adds a lot of interest really. So I'll just shove that there in the middle, and then we can continue our glass theme from the floor below with a column, a window, and a column, some bricks, and that continuation of the wonderful drain pipe. We're going out of shot now, aren't we? I'm going to have to change the camera angle, I think. But you get the idea. Right, so let's continue with the raised camera angle. And what I thought the story might be, because, you know, I like having a good, interesting scene, is that Perhaps this is a girls' school, and perhaps some of the naughtier girls, either at playtime or at lesson time when they should be in lessons, have actually gone outside and have actually been up to mischief and have broken one of the windows by throwing a stone or something like that. And I thought that might be quite fun, because we do have the balcony, of course. And with the balcony, I thought it might be interesting if one of the teachers, or the head teacher, because that's probably whose office it would be if there was a lovely balcony, you'd imagine. Maybe he'd be hanging out the window, shaking his fist at the errant children. So that's my plan for the little scene. I don't think we can have too many scenes, given this is going to be so obscured. And using the balcony in that way would definitely make it more visible. Right, so there's all up to that level. So now we need to put on our arches. And you see, this is where the panels would have been that sort of blocked it off a bit, and I didn't like those at all. And I'd have to have bought this sticker set as well, sheet, and I didn't want to do that. So then we can add a few more bricks onto the next level before we do what is essentially kind of the side turret for each side. So the one on this side, it's similar to the build again, in that we've got this nice sort of guttering, and but I've had to make it a lot thinner in order to make it fit in. So I've got the same construct in the middle here to take some bricks on the side to be able to put this piece on. So that looks very good. And then I'm still going to use these pieces on angled bricks, or hinge pieces rather, in order to make a pitched roof. Now normally this would be recessed, and it would be more like this, or like that. But because of the depth I'm trying to achieve, that won't work at all. So I'm just going to have it sticking out one more. But I don't think that looks bad. Let's see what it looks like with both sides on. Yeah, so there's our pitched roof. And yeah, it's just a bit more of an eaves type look, but I think that's all right. Yeah, good. Right. So we'll continue this along here. And this is where we start having some inverted slopes jutting out, because we're going to be supporting that balcony. And this is well high enough to avoid all of the obstacles that we talked about earlier now. So it's making best use of the space available. So then I've got the whole other side already constructed to save us a bit of time. I know this is sort of a relatively low pace thing, but I know that when I speed up footage, a lot of people say, why did you speed that up? So I'll keep it all in and see how this video goes. Right, so there is our second floor with nice round window, the removed sort of panel spaces, and the interesting feature of a smashed window smashed by some children who are very badly behaved. So I'm fairly sure we've kept the essence of the old building here, and all of its good points, whilst having to lose things like the skylight, which I did like, but it just wouldn't have fit, sort of 6 or 8 depth, and it was recessed a few anyway, so that wouldn't have worked at all. And here is another example, the wonderful balcony I've just done as a sub build to help speed me up, so that can be on the headmaster's office. And then we've got the same old setup as we have on all the other floors. So it is a bit repetitive, but I think it's a good look still. And then a single column. Quite hard building this around a camera as usual, but should be getting used to it by now really, shouldn't I? But can't say I am. Another inverted slope there just to help secure things a little more when we get to the actual roofing. And then the top of the drain pipe is kind of held in place with a 1x2 palisade brick, and I actually use that technique on my fast food corner as well because it works very well. Kind of looks a bit different from a normal round brick, but then it almost sort of looks like one of those sort of gutter collection jobs. Can't think what they're called either. And then we can do the other side. So yeah, I think in between doing large projects like the train station, which obviously has been very successful and gone down very well with you and, well, with me as well, which is just as important. I do want to do some of these more ordinary builds to fill in all the gaps, because you don't get a good city without having kind of the depth of all of this stuff. And facades, I know some of you really like the facades and some of you are a bit more doubtful, but I think having all these buildings against the wall, I mean, look how grand that's looking already, really helps give that idea of depth in the city, that the city doesn't just stop at the wall, because a lot of people have a city in the middle of their rooms and then they have one railway line or maybe two or whatever around the outside, and it's kind of like an island. Kind of looks a bit weird. What I'm trying to do is have my standing holes in the middle and go right up to the walls on all four sides to give the impression that the city is very large and continues way into the walls on all sides, and we're just seeing a very sort of small snapshot kind of in the middle. And facade buildings very much give that effect, I think. Right, so I need to get on with the roof. Now for the roof, I had another idea, which was to give the school a kind of school badge. And the school badge that I picked was this. So Harry Potter fans will know exactly what this is. This is the Slytherin sort of symbol. And this shield is from the set 4735. Slytherin. Makes sense. And I thought this would be the school badge. I got this on a haul a while back, and therefore could be mounted kind of in the roof, because I kind of need a roof feature now. I haven't got that skylight kind of up here. I have to tilt this sort of, you know, up there, so it really sort of showed from a distance what this place was. Now, I don't mean this to be an actual Slytherin school like from Harry Potter, a school of sorcery or a house in a school of sorcery. I just want that just to be a regular sort of secondary school logo. Why they've got a snake as a logo is anyone's guess. And then the students, which I've made up one here, can have the school badge on their school uniform, and that'll look really realistic. So if I get a few young ladies, some of which are outside doing the smashing of the window and some of them inside where they should be, then I think that will really show that this is a school, hopefully from first glance, but definitely on closer inspection. So that's the plan. So I am going to use these red brick pieces, the tall slopes, but I'm going to have kind of a gap in the middle for the school badge. Now for the headmaster, I thought I'd use this guy from the Newbury Haunted High School set, 70425, where he's a teacher, because I thought with his little sort of pin badge and his keys in his pocket, or is it a old-fashioned watch, I don't know, but his bow tie and his suit, I mean, he really does look like a teacher, which was sort of the point. And he's also got this screaming face, which could be if he'd seen a ghost, but it could also be if some of his pupils were actually smashing windows rather than being in lessons. So I thought, there we go, that was quite a good start to our funny scene. So he's come out of his office, and then we need to put on some, of the roofing. So we've got the corner bit. And it's amazing how cost effective this all worked out in the end. And that'll be the beginning of a chimney, just because I can't do them that way again, kind of front to back, so I'm having to do them side to side, just so they can fit in our lovely sort of slim profile. So I'll do the same setup on the other side. Bit of roof, bit more roof around the corner, and some chimney. Very good. And then a section in the middle as well. Okay, so let's finish off the end bits. Oh, we'll have to do a bit more. Right, so then I want to do a setup in the middle. And I kind of wanted the shield to be mounted about here, like that. So I think the first thing I need to do is just put in some slope pieces, even those are a different gradient. I think they'll still look good as a backdrop. And then I've just got modified brick with a cheese wedge piece in the stone colour and another 1x1 on each side, just to kind of flank the shield because it's not that wide. And then in the middle I've just got a jumper plate so we can centralise one of those sort of headlight bricks with a normal grabber on it. And that is just a very simple way of gripping the kind of handhold on the back of the shield. So pop that on there, and that is front and centre, looking good. So I'll just put in some bricks behind that. And then to give it some sort of grandeur, I thought I'd have it in an arch, which is just one of these sort of mudguard pieces from a car. And then that can go in front of that, and it makes it look a bit more sort of built into a roof. So I quite like that. And then let's put that on to finish off that middle bit of the roof, because then we can put on the two sides now. And we're nearly there. There we go. Ooh, clip it on the middle. It's not going on. There we go. And then we just need our two chimneys to finish off the look. One there and one here. Very good. So I think you'll agree that that is a pretty grand building, and it's really nice and wide. So it'll fill up a lot of wall space, because I mean I've still got big gaps in the wall on the side that the castle's on, and you know I will have loads more wall on the whole area that we haven't done yet, either side of the fairground and so on. So using up as much as we can in one go is a good method for me, and it's nice and strong for me to lift into position and so on. So there is our building. So now to the scene. Well, we've got the broken window, and that's a very nice little sticker that looks like a stone's gone completely through it and ruined the pane. And that was from this sticker sheet over here, which is from set 76082, ATM Heist Battle. And that was a Spider-Man set. And it's a good sticker sheet, this. I tend to use all these sort of bank stickers and ATM sort of slots and screens and so on. And there's even a little package one there and things like that elsewhere. So that's the first one I've used anyway. And then I thought we could have a teacher on the inside who looks very stern indeed. You wouldn't mess with her, would you? So we'll have to decide which floor to put her on. I don't know if we'll put her, say, on that floor, or maybe she's on the ground floor, kind of looking out, see where all the mischief is going on. Yeah, that's all right. You can't see her fantastically well. I'll probably reposition her. And on the outside, also on the inside rather, I thought I'd have a student who's looking out the window, having heard the noise. I was trying to see what was going on. So I've got that sort of toothy, childlike face on one of the school uniforms with a ginger ponytail. And on the outside, we've got the two who are up to no good. We've got this young lady with short legs and a school uniform and blonde hair. Looks like she's laughing. And then we've got the ringleader, who's got these sort of midi-length legs, also in black. Shows she's a bit older or just a bit taller. Another one of these school uniforms. And obviously she's got the catapult, which caused the damage in the first place. She's also got a freckly sort of nosed minifigure head, which I really like, especially with this absolutely huge hairpiece, sort of unruly ginger hair. So that's really nice as well. So I thought I'd have them on the outside, sort of having been discovered, maybe making a run for it. And yes, there are rail lines out there, and no, I'm not going to fence it all off because then everything just looks too heavily fenced. So these people will be very close to a rail line, which isn't a good idea, obviously, in real life. But this is Lego, so they'll be safe because they're made of plastic. And I'll have them sort of very near the rail line outside, getting shouted at and watched from inside. Good, good. So all that remains is to take this up to the Lego room and do some serious stretching to get this in place. No, don't worry, it's not going there, but we're back in the Lego room, and I've got my completed building that needs to go back there, and it's going to be a right stretch. Hopefully I won't need a step ladder and to stand on these tables, but yeah, I've just slightly moved the people, so I've got the student there as before, but then I've also got the teacher in the actual affected window, so maybe that teacher is not the girl's favourite. She does look very stern, so maybe that's the reason why they've picked that window to throw a stone at. But they're both now raised, so I think you'll be able to see them both quite clearly. Yep, good. I do like this building. It looks very historic indeed. And there it is in place. I think it looks really good. It's a shame it's kind of hidden behind the town hall because I've taken off the top 2 floors of that and the roof, so it's almost perfectly aligned with that. So we're not going to be able to see it from dead on, but I think we will be able to see it sort of more obliquely like that, and of course from this side. And it's not too near the Vestas wind turbine for that to really pose a threat, although as I said earlier it'd be very noisy. Yeah, so it's very close, as are our young ladies down here who've broken that window, very near to all of our rail and tram lines. So I guess the next thing is to test whether any of them actually hit. So let's go with the tram first. Hard to do left-handed. There we go. Oh, that looks close, doesn't it? That is a very close miss, I think, which is exactly how I like it. So let's get the white train going next. Watch out, girls. Oh, they're still there. So that's good to see. Let's get the beast going. And you'll see when we've got the beast going that, well, hopefully it misses first. Oh, yeah, not too bad that one. Misses the building and the girls, that's good. Yeah, you'll see on the cargo train now that I have swapped round the direction of the cement mixer truck that turns, just so it doesn't pick up so much dirt, birds and all sorts of debris when it goes round. Not in the Lego room sense, in the sort of real life sense to make it more realistic. And apparently that also makes it turn the drum in the correct direction. So, all good. Right, well that fits. It doesn't hit. So all is good. I'm going to put the town hall back on. Now, before I forget, I better do the vehicle of the day. And I've decided to do this. 60020 cargo truck. And I really like this one. Not only has it got fantastic sort of cargo logo stickers on the front and both sides, but also it's got the side opening back where you can look inside and see some sort of gas tanks and an engine block, all on regular 4x6 pallets, which will be all round my cargo depot in due course. And they can obviously be lifted in and out with a forklift truck. So I really like that set. There's another one that's very similar to it, that's smaller, and there's a very similar one that's bigger as well. So this is the middle one, and I think it's a good size, and I really love that green colouring. And I've swapped the driver, so he's sat on the right because we drive on the left, and he's got his lovely mug of tea. So I'll put that back there. And I think that's a great addition to our streets. So back to what we're doing today, right the way over here, we can see our Slytherin school, which is not really what I'm calling it. So I guess I'll call it Brick Nottingham Girls' School. That makes more sense, doesn't it? Now, as we always knew, you weren't going to be able to see this very much from sort of a normal lower angle, but just having another roof line behind all these roofs does give a lot of depth. And when you do peer over, you can see a lot more of it. And there are definitely some angles where you can still see absolutely everything. So down here we can see the girls with their catapult and all of those windows and everything else with the teacher on the balcony and so on. So I'm very happy with that. I imagine it won't be popular with everyone, but it's definitely a very important part of the way I'm going to be doing and continuing Brick Nottingham. And a quick reminder for those of you who haven't yet voted on my Lego Ideas submission, Fast Food Corner, the details of which and a link are in the description of this video. But that's my submission, that I need 10,000 votes to have the opportunity of making my modular MOC a real life set, but I still need a lot more support. So if you could take 2 minutes to register and just give me a quick click, that would be absolutely fantastic and very much appreciated. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome Lego videos. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing a brick haul on Wednesday. And then on Friday, we'll be doing another city update. And I can't quite make up my mind whether to do another MOC, maybe even a rail MOC, because the cement mixer carriage went down very well. So we could follow that up. Or maybe we could make a start on the fairground if I've got time to mount all the new tables that will require, because I'm getting a lot more comments on starting that now. Or it might just be that we do a little bit more around the beach and boardwalk area. Who knows? Anyway, whatever we get up to, I'm sure it'll be fantastic, and I'll see you then.